Donald Trump is the very first Republican who I have ever voted for in my life. I voted for him for the first time in 2020. Before that, I voted Barack Obama twice, and I voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. And the only reason I voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016 was because I believed that Donald Trump was a racist, and I also thought that the majority of Republicans and the people who were voting for him were also racist. Then in 2016 hit, and he won. I was so disappointed. I told my sister, I cannot believe that the country that just elected our first black president turned around and elected this man. Then my sister told me, just because people have voted for Donald Trump does not mean that they are racist. I told her, yes, it does. It absolutely means they're racist, because that's what I thought. Then I saw him as president, and I thought that he was a good leader. I think he did a good job, aside from all his mean tweets. So in 2020, I voted for him. And in 2020, I was literally undecided until that third debate with Donald Trump and Joe Biden. I saw Joe Biden get on stage, talk about all the wonderful things that he was going to do should he take office. Then Donald Trump said the same thing to him that we saw him say to Kamala Harris. If you were going to do those things, why haven't you done them? And in Joe Biden's case, he had been Barack Obama's VP for 8 years. And in addition to that, he had also been a senator. So around that time, he had about 40 years in office under his belt. And when Donald Trump asked him that question, that struck out to me, that why didn't you do all these things in 40 years? Then Joe Biden answered that question with an excuse and said the reason he didn't do it was because of the Republicans in Congress. Said also because he was the vice president. And I was thinking, so the Republicans in Congress stopped you from doing all this in 40 years? You couldn't get any of this done in 40 years? That struck out to me. And that made me vote for Donald Trump in 2020. And I remember...
Yes, this is beautiful. A lot of people are doing this, and I'm impressed. If you have been following this channel for days now, I decided to bring people that are changing their minds toward the Democrat Party. But that notwithstanding, this is their next plan. Rosie posted this. If you remember, this lady fled the US simply because of Trump, but she can't stop calling Trump name every single day. We are not asking, we are shutting it down. Man blackout, November 25th, December 2nd, the largest economic blackout in US history began November 25th. No work, no spending, no restaurant, no project, no event, no restaurant, no backing out, prepare for the impact. Okay, this is their next plan. I don't know what is the aim of this. To me, it's insane.
And that made me vote for Donald Trump in 2020. And I remember when I was actually on my way to vote for Donald Trump, my husband and I were in the car riding together. We started talking about the election and who we're voting for. He was voting for Biden. I told him I was voting for Donald Trump. He immediately turned the car around and drove back home, would not take me to the poll to vote for Donald Trump. So we went back home, and I returned to the poll later to vote for Donald Trump. Then we all lived under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in office. My husband got to see firsthand the incompetence of this administration. And now not only am I a Trump supporter, he is too. And I've also learned one thing about Donald Trump supporters and Republicans in general. See, it used to be, I thought they were intolerant. I thought they were the ones who were racist and closed-minded. But it turns out it was the other way around. Because when I was in 2016 voting for Hillary Clinton, I was working in a small office then. The majority of the people I was working with were Republican. They had no problem with me saying that I was supporting Hillary Clinton. They had absolutely no problem with it. Not one of those people tried to change my mind. Not one of those people treated me any differently because I thought differently than them. But the minute you turn away from that and say, you know what, I don't agree with that anymore. I don't agree with what the Democratic Party is doing anymore. I don't stand for that anymore. The minute you do that, the Democrats have a problem with it. But they're the ones preaching tolerance. They're the ones preaching acceptance. They're the ones talking about the hate.
A lot of us do not believe that politicians should choose their voters. They believe that voters should choose.
Yes, this is extremely beautiful. You know, I was delighted when I watched this video. Now, going into this video of Barack Obama, Obama had I don't know if it's an interview on a live stream with Gavin Newsom. They talked a lot. And everything surrounding that discussion was about Trump, to bash Trump. You know, That was all I saw.
As Gavin mentioned, a lot of us do not believe that politicians should choose their voters. They believe that voters should choose who's going to represent them. That's the meaning of democracy. That's the foundation of our self-governance. The problem that we are seeing right now is that our current president and his administration is explicitly saying that we want to change the rules of the game midstream in order to insulate ourselves from the people's judgment. They want to change around the maps, not the way it's always been done every 10 years after a census. They want to do it before any election in which they're worried they might lose. They want to tinker around with it to see if they can give themselves an advantage. And it's brazen. They're not pretending that there's some other rationale to it. They're simply doing it because they think they can. And in those circumstances, I could not be more appreciative of the work that Governor Newsom and the people of California are doing and saying, stop. This is not how American democracy is supposed to operate. And that's what Prop 50 is about. And it has critical implications, not just for California, but for the entire country.
Yes, when you take a look at this, Barack Obama endorsement of California Proposition 50, which allowed the Democratic control legislature to withdraw congressional district for 2026, contradict his claim that voters should pick their representative, not the other way around. While criticizing Republican gerrymandering, he supported a measure that let politicians choose voters, undermining the voters approved Independent Redistricting Commission Bill 1's champion Prop 50 project. Projected additions of 5 Democratic seats exposes this as a partisan power grab, despite his rhetoric about defending democracy. You know, Obama posted this video. It is everywhere on Twitter just a few hours ago, and people are calling him out for who he is. Nobody is buying this. They started this issue. Gavin Newsom came out when Republicans took a decision to do this in Texas. These people don't understand something. If Gavin Newsom is to succeed to do this, I will tell you the truth. Everywhere this decision will be implemented, and Republicans are on high advantage with this. So if Democrats think that this is the best thing they can do, they need to rethink. I've seen a lot of petitions going around on social media. People are now signing that about 200,000 people have already signed in, requiring voter ID in California. This is a bad thing to Democrats. They actually don't even want to see this. I saw this and Gavin Newsom reactions. Like, I would not like to make the video long. I think I'm going to end here. I want to appreciate people supporting me, sharing out the videos. God bless you abundantly. If you notice, videos like this, I don't make them long. As of the short clips at the end, that is for the YT algorithm.
What Donald Trump should do is, when he leaves the office, run for governor of California. And just take over California and fix it. It would be hilarious if he did. It would be one of the funniest things of all time if an 82-year-old man steps into the office of governor of California. We're going to fix everything. You've got a problem with water. I know how to get the water. It would be fucking hilarious.
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't even let him give me a Heimlich maneuver.
And there were people.
Almost exactly what Trump have more Republicans on the show, but they don't want to come on. They're scared of us.
It's history.
Point when I say I'm not going to be apocalyptic. He even gets an
If the Democrats
Because how many times do somebody asks
for
J.D. Vance should be the next president of the United States. If you want to serve in the American
give interviews, I don't do that.
JD Vance should be the next president of the United States.
Happening at the moment.
Yeah.
President Obama.
Is blatant censorship.
Because he says he has a team of fact checkers.
The FCC.
I want them to stop fooling around with my right to say what I feel.
Americans, it's a part of who we are.
Because that is really something that didn't happen before.
Does anybody else watch The View? Because I think there's...
I'm going to say one.
Look, there are certain rules of free speech.
A right to have a television show.
to spread...
All the same people that are in these polite...
Dave Chappelle.
Without of interest.
Obama, didn't I tell you to go away?